I'm Amy Dolan, and this is the Feeding People podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to Feeding People. I'm Amy Dolan, your host, and I'm so excited to be with you today at the table for a very special lunch podcast episode. I'm going to introduce my guest in just a second, but as always, I'm so grateful that you listen. I'm so grateful that you share this episode. We had so many people sharing the episode from last week with their friends and family, and we never take that for granted. So thank you so much for that. As always, you help us out so much when you rate and review and subscribe to the show wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or Spotify. Thank you. We consider it such an honor that you listen to us and that you join us at the table every week. So thank you. I'm here today at the table with my very special guest, Wendy Zeldin. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here. This might be our first lunch podcast. We had a brunch, but I think it's our first. It's kind of a late lunch too, which was really nice.
Yeah.
We should do more lunches, actually. The lighting is good.
The lighting, you look wonderful.
Thank you.
Great.
Why you need good lighting for a podcast, I don't know. But hey, imagine us looking good.
We look excellent.
That was a really fun lunch to make for you because I used all of the produce that I had bought at your market on Saturday, and of course the produce was delicious, but it was really special. I made an asparagus and potato salad for you, and did you enjoy it?
I loved it. It was an absolute delight, and I can't believe you found such incredible produce locally. Wow.
I wonder where. Maybe we should tell them in a few minutes. So it's so great to have you here at the table. I want to tell the story of how we met because it's so great and it's so random, but not random, right? Like,
yeah, it doesn't
feel
that way.
Meant to know each other
Absolutely.
and be friends. So it was last winter. I want to say it was maybe November. Kelly and I came to your farmer's market, the 61st Street Farmer's Market, for your winter indoor market. Which is so special. I mean, yeah, we should be able to still go to the market in the winter. So thank you, first of all, for having a market in the winter. And we went to the market, and it was just like the energy and the vibe, right, Kelly? Yeah, the energy and the vibe, like in the middle of winter. I mean, first of all, where do you find good energy in the middle of winter?
Right.
But it was so special from the minute we walked in. Like all of the vendors that you had were so special. The just mood in the place. Everybody talked. All the vendors just like talked to us and told us things, and we asked all the questions. It was so lovely. And we were walking out. And I said to someone was, like an info table kind of when you first walk in. And I was like, who is in charge of this place? Which I don't know. I just feel like that's what you should do. If you're really feeling good in a place, like figure out who's put all that good energy out there. And they were like, Wendy, you were like standing right next to them. And I'm like, this is incredible. This place is so special. And we stood there talking. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it was like a half hour or something. We stood there talking. You told me about the market. You told me you were Jewish. It just like instantly had all these connections, and it was magic from there.
That was the conversation where we were talking about the beauty of like the kitchen spaces in faith places, like churches and synagogues and all kinds of different just like faith-based kitchens and the value of those. Yeah, that was a great chat.
I forgot we were talking. Right, we were talking about you. I think you recommended a book about kitchen spaces.
I said I wanted to make a book.
Oh, you want? Oh,
it doesn't exist.
Let's put it out there.
Let's make a book. Yeah,
guys, Wendy wants to make a book about beautiful kitchen spaces.
Or maybe just like a zine would be a nice place to start.
Yeah,
that feels accomplishable.
The Zeldin zine.
Yeah, there we go.
That kind of works. Yeah. Okay, great. So that's when we met, and you came to Sunday Supper Church, which was so lovely, and we've had coffee, and I mean, I think the world of you, so I'm so happy about this. How would you introduce yourself?
So if it wasn't clear, I am the market manager at 61st Street Farmers Market in Woodlawn. I also run the food and garden education programs there in conjunction with Carnegie Elementary School, which is right next door, and Jackson Park Terrace housing residency, which is very nearby, and that's where we do our garden programming and have a hoop house right at like 60th and Stony Island. Other than that, yeah, I am queer. I'm a baker. No, that one's weird. No, I'm not.
It's like a hobby?
Yeah, like I like to bake. I like to read. I like going to the woods a lot. I'm really into mushrooms. I play music. I'm a drummer. I play other things, but not
You're
as
a drummer?
well as drums.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I have a 7-year-old named Solomon who's a big goofer. So I hang out with him a lot, and yeah.
What a description. Life, I love that. You're like there's so much to you.
I'm like a loyal person, so I find a hobby and I tend to be like, well, here we go forever.
Yeah.
So I like get new hobbies, but I don't really lose the old ones.
Just keep collecting
hobbies. Yeah, collecting. Which is maybe why it was so hard to schedule this podcast, but
you have a full life.
Got a full life. Yeah. Living it.
That's great. Okay, good. Well, what is the best meal that you've ever had? Is that an easy or a hard question?
Oh, it's so hard. And obviously, I'm going to name one.
Okay.
But there have been so many. Yeah. So there's a place called Sticky Rice that's at like Western and Irving Park. And they made like a second Sticky Rice that I feel like had a different name. It was called like Sweet Sticky Rice or maybe just Sweet Rice or something. It was really close to my house. And then it closed, maybe because it was like in this very odd location where you were just like looking out the window at a gas station, and it was pretty unappealing.
Doesn't seem right.
But Sticky Rice or Sweet Rice or whichever type of rice this place was, no, it was definitely Sweet Rice. Okay, so it's called Sweet Rice. And they had this green curry that was, a coconut milk based curry, but it was also served to you in a coconut.
Oh.
And so you're eating it.
Oh, stop. Wait, I need to like visualize
right?
this.
So it's like, it's more than, I feel like it's more than a half of a coconut. I want to say it's 2/3 of a coconut, right? So they just like cut the top off.
Yeah.
And I do not know how it was prepared, but what I do know is that you're eating the curry and they give you like this big ass spoon. And as you're eating it, you take your spoon and you're digging in. And the coconut on the side is like soft and starts chunking out.
I mean, I'm embarrassed that I have goosebumps right now. That sounds amazing.
It's unreal. And are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Can't make this shit up.
Okay.
When they prepare your coconut, there's coconut water inside the coconut.
Okay.
Like how you would buy like coconut water from the store or something. They give you the glass of coconut water.
Oh my gosh.
So you're sitting there like a fucking, queen
over here just listening to it.
And you got your glass of coconut water and your coconut curry. And it's like super well spiced and like just like this perfect curry. And then you just, digging in.
The whole experience, like all the senses. Wow.
It's unreal. Yeah.
I could eat curry every day. Like,
Me too.
I love curry so much, but in a coconut.
So
do you scrape the meat of the coconut?
So you're eating it, as you go. It's unreal. And so
Yum. Oh, and it's close to your house. You can
the sweet rice was. Sticky rice is a bit north, but worth every way of transporting yourself there.
Okay, we're getting there soon, Kelly. I mean, I'm like a marketing executive's dream. All someone has to do is mention one thing, and I'm like literally obsessed. Like probably tomorrow I'll be like, what's on my mind? Coconut curry from a coconut. It's all I can think about. I don't know why.
It is like divine.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing. That sounds so good. So I'd love to ask all of my guests what food was like for them growing up, what it was like in your family. Did someone teach you how to cook? Do you have memories of family meals together? It really like shapes people, obviously, like how what food was like in our family. So what was it like for you?
We had family dinner every night together. My dad owned a car wash, and he would come home pretty much at like 6 o'clock on the dot every night, and he'd be in his work clothes, and he'd be like a little grouchy and hungry and cold and tired or hot and tired, depending on the weather. And so it was just like my mom's way of being like, all right, I got this, to like have dinner on the table every night when he got home. And he'd wash all the like greasy car things off his hands, and we'd all sit down, and there were a lot of casseroles. There was a lot of like things from cans that went into the ceramic microwavable dishes with the glass tops, you know. My favorite food that my mom made was tuna noodle casserole.
Oh, right.
That was like my jam, which is, as an adult vegan, a really funny thing to look back on and just be like, sick, dude. How is that your favorite food? It's gnarly.
It's so comforting, but it was, right?
Yeah,
like warm, mushy casserole. Yeah.
But it is really funny as like a person who at this point appreciates like, you know, a diverse array of textures and colors in my food.
Nothing green
like it was
whatsoever.
Like a gray, beige, a grayish mush slop. But yeah, I loved it. Went to town on some tuna noodle casserole. As far as like how I learned to cook or who I cooked with, my grandmother, my dad's mom, her name was Annette. But Grandma Annette was a lot to say, so we just called her Grandma Net. So that was normal. Somehow. Grandma Net made a lot of different food and would like really do a good job of including me in that process. But she had a way. This is like a like very nervous Jewish New Yorker.
Yes.
Lots of anxiety, but like wanting to welcome me, you know. So she would like bring me into the kitchen and like make a really big deal out of the things that we were cooking in this like incredibly believable way. So that it wasn't until years later that I was like, oh, wait, what? Like, she was like, we're making Italian chicken. Now, this is a big deal. We're going to take this. We're going to do Italian chicken tonight. Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, she's so fancy. And it was literally just putting like wishbone Italian dressing in a Ziploc bag with chicken and shaking the Ziploc bag. But at the time I was like, wow, Grandma Net is like a culinary master of it all, you know. I loved the I was in it, you know. It felt good to be under her spell of magical recipes that were like found on the back of any box or bag or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Grandmas are magic in general, but Jewish grandmas are like next level,
Extra
right?
magic.
Right.
Yes.
You were saying that. I was thinking about memories I have. We used to go to a house in the summer in Michigan, and I have memories of my grandma teaching me how to scramble eggs. You know, like sometimes now when I make scrambled eggs for breakfast, I think, this is how Grandma Marcia in Michigan taught me how to do it. And it's funny you say that now because I'm like, she did make it such a big deal. Like,
right?
Here's how you crack the eggs. Here's how you move the pan, which, yes, it is. But, like, also it's scrambled eggs.
Right.
It's fine.
You probably won't mess them up that bad.
We got it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that connection with grandmas in the kitchen. And I love that, like, you felt that connection, even though it was, Italian chicken in a Ziploc. It was like, there was something about her wanting that connection with you.
How inviting she was. And also just, like, the way she spoke about things made it seem like she just convinced me that everything was very special. So like another thing that just came to mind is how she just would put cream on random shit. So like we used to eat lime jello in like these tiny dishes, and she'd pour cream on top. And like,
my gosh.
I was like, hell yes. It was divine, you know? And
wait,
like,
cream? What cream? Like milk?
I think it was like half
whipped cream?
No, like a liquid.
A liquid. Oh my gosh.
Again, now I'm an adult vegan being like, the fuck was I doing? I don't know. It's disgusting. But it was like, I think it was just half and half.
Okay. I mean, would you say like your love, obviously like your career and your resume is so impressive around food. Would you say like some of your appreciation for food and your love for food, you could tie back to those moments with her, or that just in her like making everything so special?
I think I understood, that the intention she was putting into it to be like this is a moment. We're having a moment together. We're doing this. And like it was besides like watching Golden Girls with her, probably like the highest level of connection I had with her.
Yes. So, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I love that. It really like brought me back to moments with my Jewish grandmothers who are the best. Also, I love your impression.
It is worth noting that this is also the same woman who, so Solomon is the name of my kid, but also was the name of my grandfather. And she would just be like, Saul, you need to go to Arby's and get another roast beef for Sadie. And Sadie was her dog. And they would get entire roast beef sandwiches.
My
Sadie.
gosh.
So obviously her connection with like generosity and food and showing her love that way ran deep enough that Sadie also benefited.
Love it. That. Okay, so I want to talk about your magical market. Can that be its new name?
Yeah. Sure.
I want to talk about the 61st Street Farmers Market because it's all levels of magic, and I have 100 questions about how it became as magical as it is. So are you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay. So on Saturday, I went to your market, and it was just like the most glorious day. The sun was shining. I think it was 80. Like all the people were out. It was like there's like that grassy area behind the market where like someone was flying a kite with his son. And I'm like, are they shitting me? Like, is this what's happening here? Like, this is like a commercial happening or something. There was a little girl selling like bracelets on the aisle. I'm like, yes, I need 3 rubber bracelets. Of course. Everything about it. But it's just, well, obviously like the energy and the love, you can feel all of that, but it's just so perfectly curated. Like,
thank you.
You can really tell, to me, like you can really tell, every farmer's market is lovely, but like you can really tell the heart and soul, I think, of a farmer's market by the vendors who are there. And you have like the perfect combination of farmers who are selling there's like not too little, not too many, but then you have the pies, and you have the bakery and the empanadas and the coffee and the bread and I got the honey. Oh my gosh, the honey is so good.
Do you know that was like literally from Experimental Station?
Yes.
Isn't that wild?
I know everything about it. Ask me anything. There's limited quantities this year too.
There are.
And I was so like captivated by all of it and the energy of it. And I was just I came home and I told Kelly, I feel like I went to church because it was so beautiful. It's so about the community. All the vendors, I mean, all the farmers were telling me where they were, 3 blocks away from the community. And you could tell, like, everybody knew each other. You were holding a baby. Like, it was just like, I felt like this. I went to church. I really did. So would you like start from the beginning and tell us, like, how did you create this amazing experience?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it is in its 12th season now, and this will be my 3rd outdoor season, so I will take no credit for the creation of said magic. I am simply attempting to perpetuate said magic for many years to come, hopefully. The market was started, a lot of people noted the absence of good food in Woodlawn, and Woodlawn, as you know, is a really interesting neighborhood for a lot of reasons, but especially due to the like juxtaposition of Hyde Park and Woodlawn as neighboring spots. It is just historically like underserved, underfunded, ignored, while Hyde Park is getting everything that it could ever want. And obviously like poverty levels, crime levels, et cetera, look really different between the two. And so there was just a lack of food that was good in the area. And the market is a part of Experimental Station, which is a larger organization. It's a nonprofit that is the tagline. Our tagline is that we are building cultural infrastructure on the South Side, which is kind of intentionally a little vague because we're like, who knows what we're doing next? You know, like who knows what'll even come. But the longest running programs at Experimental Station are the Farmers Market and Blackstone Bicycle Works, which is an incredible program. There's the bike shop proper where you can buy yourself a bike or get a tune-up or whatnot. But it's also a youth program that kids from the neighborhood come in and learn bike mechanics and end up just really schooling all the adults in the building about how to ride and take care of their bikes. 12 years ago, Connie Spreen, who is my boss and a wonderful woman, just said, that's it. We got to make this happen. And she got a great group of volunteers to get together and just make it work. And she always talks about the beginnings and how little it was and how they just expected no one to come. And then year after year, it was like more vendors, more customers, more vendors, more customers. Yeah. And so now we are at just about 30 vendors. And this past market, we had 1,700 people come through. Gosh. And it's just bananas. Yeah. Though I should probably use a better local food for it's not bananas. There are no bananas in Chicago. But yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, the vendors are all, you know, we try to keep it like as local as possible. So nobody's driving long at all to come and be with us. They are incredible humans, growing and creating absolutely phenomenal products. I'm like, it's such a funny part of my job, running the markets on Saturdays, just because I'm there. And then I remember that like shopping is actually just a huge part of my week. Yeah, right. I'm like, oh wait, now it's my turn. and I've been like, you know, communicating with all of these farmers and producers all week long. And then I'm like, oh wait, now I get to just do this too. And like, I walk around. I knew what every vendor was going to bring. I knew exactly what varieties were coming and all of that, but I still walk around the market every Saturday and I'm like, damn.
It's so good.
You all did such a good job. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible. There was one, I wish I could remember which one it was. There was the place where I bought the asparagus. I bought purple and green asparagus, which is so special. And their credit card machine wasn't working. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. They said, yeah, we take a card, but it's not working. And the guy was like, just pay us next week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like putting the asparagus, I was like taking the asparagus out of my bag. Like, no. Like, you know, that's fine. He's like, no, you pay us next week. And I was like, wow, like, when do you ever get that? And I was like, I'm like, so like responsible. I'm like, $7 next week. Totally. But I feel like that was just such a great, right? That's just a great example of probably how the spirit of every vendor.
Absolutely. No, that is like totally indicative of like just the general feel of the space and like watching vendors. And so many of our vendors have been there for years too, like long before I was there, you know? Right. Yeah. Just the fact that they are dedicated to the neighborhood, dedicated to their customers, and like they know the community super well. They know each other super well. So it's just like a huge part of my job is the curation, right? Yes. Is like trying to figure out the balance and like when people apply to be a part of the market, knowing when to say, yes, absolutely. And knowing when to say like, you seem like you rule, but like now isn't the time, right? You know, right. And nobody wants to go to a farmer's market that is like 100 pie vendors or whatever, or all produce, right? Because sometimes
it's such a delicate balance.
Yeah. Yes. You go to the market and maybe like you're hungry. Shopping makes you hungry. You want something to eat. Well, like if it's only, you know, bags of carrots, like it's limiting. Not that carrots aren't delicious to munch on, but like having a taco is a nice option.
Absolutely.
I think so much community is built because there is not like a feel of competition.
Yes.
We're
that
not
was so obvious.
Pitting each other against, you know, other vendors. We're like intentionally making it so that everyone supports each other. And
that was so obvious. And I feel like I couldn't like totally put words on like what the magic of I was trying like, well, Wendy did this, so it's thoughtful. Like that's the best I could do. But that lacking spirit of competition is exactly what I felt, because at most farmers markets you feel that, even as people are like offering you samples or like I sometimes feel like you're trying to lure me a little bit
completely
away from someone, or give me a better deal on,
and that doesn't
than
feel
the guy
good
over. It doesn't
as
feel
a consumer.
good at all.
Yeah.
Like, no. And you're right. Even though 5 vendors were selling asparagus, I never felt that at all.
Totally.
That's really special.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's nice to do things like, hey, new bread folks, I'm going to put you next to the cheese guy so y'all can talk about grilled cheese sandwiches, get people hungry, and send each other to each other's booths. And that kind of cute cooperation, I think, like really helps build the general spirit of it all.
So Wendy, how did you find your way to the market 3 years ago? And like, why would you choose to do this now? What is it for you? Like, what is it that's in you at this point in your life to like create something like this?
I had heard about Experimental Station before, and just like the incredible work that was happening there, and had been kind of like, creeping on their website, being like, dang, y'all are weird and kind of, just
what does infrastructure mean?
I'm still figuring out what everybody does in our space. When I saw that position open up, I had been doing a lot of like food and garden education, and I was like a little intimidated. I was like, I don't know. I know how to grow things, and I know how to talk about it and cook it and teach about it, but like, a whole market, I don't know. But I came in and interviewed, and I just like the second I walked into that kitchen, I was like, oh, please hire me so I can just cook in this space. Yes. That kitchen is
the kitchen's beautiful.
Everything. Yes. It's so gorgeous. I guess the feeling was mutual enough that they took me on, and here I am later, still just feeling so stoked about it. It feels like a culmination of so many points of interest in my life. So I went to Antioch College, which is this like goofy hippie school in rural Ohio, where there's like, I think my graduating class was like 50 people.
Wow.
Our motto there was a Horace Mann quote, which was, "Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity."
Okay.
And, no pressure.
Wow.
And so the joke amongst, all my friends who I went to school with is just like, so what's your victory for humanity? How's your victory going? And like, it's funny because we joke about it, but at the same time, like,
you're all like, what are you doing? Really? Seriously.
And so, to me, the market absolutely feels like a victory for humanity. It's like just seeing everybody collaboratively enthusiastic about what is the most basic of actions, right? But like, these are all people that are choosing to make food this like central, beautiful, like weighty part of their week.
I love this.
It's gorgeous.
I love this. I really wish everyone could see like you're just like beaming right now. It's so obvious. Like this is that this is a culmination of what you're supposed to do and who you are. And it's just like glowing. We share the value of the magic of food and like how it brings people together. And I love like the market as like another example of that. We talk a lot on the podcast about tables and food and cooking for people and eating together. But the market is like an example of, everyone coming out for food. And then it's the food. I always think of like food as an excuse. It's like beautiful food and I have to eat and all that. But then like, no, now we're like out and we're like connecting over what we're going to cook or recipes or just how are you doing, right? And it's just so wonderful that you've created that environment in Woodlawn. Is just so special. I want to talk for a minute about that, about accessibility to food. Yeah. And you mentioned that at the beginning about the neighborhood specifically. And like, what does providing really great, beautiful, healthy food for all, like, what does that mean to you?
Everything. Yeah. It really means everything. I don't know. I've always been someone to think that like if you can't take care of yourself, then you're probably not going to be very good at like taking care of your friends and your community, and like the ability to kind of like self-love and self-sustain and be there for yourself is like vital in my mind. And food is like, I think often ignored when we think about, I don't know, self-care is such a thing right now, right? Where it's like, oh, face masks and bath bombs and whatever. But like nobody's putting on a face mask or taking a bath if they haven't had a meal in their day, right? We got to eat. And if you aren't eating in a way that is both like exciting and nourishing to you, you're just not going to be able to be your best self if you're not taking care of your body. And that doesn't mean every day you have to eat the best foods. Like I will go hard on a bag of barbecue potato chips as, well as anybody else will. But it's like having access to healthy, affordable food and also having the knowledge and the tools to prepare that food is everything, right? So like all of this education work has been like all a part of just demystifying the idea of like good healthy food is for rich people who have huge kitchens and all the gadgets and like that's the only way that you can eat a good meal, right? That is obviously hugely incorrect and like a totally ridiculous thing, but there are a lot of reasons why that is like how people think about food. And
I wanted to actually ask you that, like, this is the $1 million question. Like, what is the problem? Like, to me, it's completely outrageous and unthinkable and actually like unacceptable that anybody in our city doesn't have access to good food.
Totally.
And I mean, to me, the reason is like racism. Like it really is. Yeah. That's what I believe. Like in our segregated city, and specifically the ways that we attempt to keep it segregated, we create neighborhoods where there's not access to good food, right? So what do you think is the problem?
I mean,
why don't so people have access to food? Why not?
It all comes back to power, money.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it is like neighborhoods that have like the least amount of access to good, healthy, local, affordable food are neighborhoods that have historically been ignored. They have been underfunded. They have been just set aside and thought of as less valuable. And they are almost always thought of as less valuable because of poverty levels, crime levels, breakdown of racial. It's all just like, oh, you are a poor Black neighborhood with a high crime rate. Like,
we'll also not give you food.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just like
when you say it like that, it's just outrageous to me, right? I mean, it's like, because of who you are, we will not give you food or give you easy access to. I mean, it's like what could be worse? What could be more evil, really, is what I feel in this moment. Like, what could be more evil?
Completely. And it's also like disgusting how I think, I've never been so fond of like food desert as a phrase, but like for a long time that was like the phrase, right? Yes. And so then it was like, oh, this community is a food desert. Here's a corner store.
7-Eleven. That's what I always thought. It was like, here's like a 7-Eleven that will fix your problems.
Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, can you guys shut up now? Like, we gave you a 7-Eleven. Like, what's the problem? And it's just like, it becomes a situation where, again, like, okay, well, now there's access to food, but like, to what food? And like, it's still, if that is what you can walk to, if that is what you can afford, if that is what is nearby, then of course that's what you're eating.
If you have a kitchen appliance that can use that food and make it into something, right?
Then like, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And proximity is huge. Like, how close people are to food is enormous in what people will eat. That is like a big deal. And so, if that's what's near you, that's what you're going to eat. And it seems like I am trying to be optimistic that like Chicago will keep growing its urban agriculture scene, and that like so much of the land that is currently being wildly misused will be, you know, seen in a new light by various communities where there are like, you know, a good amount of open lots or like big spaces that have been abandoned. I was recently asked to be a part of Lori Lightfoot's environmental transition committee.
That's right,
which
you
was
were
funny.
The brand new mayor of Chicago.
Yeah, who is now, I don't have to say mayor-elect anymore. Right. I was bad at that anyway. Yeah, as of a couple days ago or
Wendy,
something.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a weird, cool experience. And so that gave me kind of like a little spark of optimism as far as like being on a really rad crew of like folks talking about land use and the ways that in the past, like, yeah, it's all just been about money and power and development. And, you know, as far as like who is coming in and taking over spaces, or even when things are like from a distance looking, like, oh, here's this beneficial thing we're doing. Like, I don't know, like the 606, right?
Yes.
Like,
right.
Hey, we're going to displace all of these families, but did you see this bike path? Like, it's, you know, it's like, obviously these things are really complicated. And I am by no means saying like, oh, new administration, now everything's going to be perfect. By no means.
I mean, it's going to be better. Let's just say that on the podcast.
I have to say that, or
Let's
else
just
I will
please say that, because
just crawl into a ball. Okay, and, you know,
these are like our inside Chicago. I'm not naming any former mayors, but I'm just naming the former mayor. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah, I think that a lot of what I'm excited about in the work that I do is just kind of like ditching the idea of affordable, local, healthy food as being like pretentious white people shit that is like, I don't know, that I think people have an idea that good, healthy food, especially when you say local really like throws people off.
You think
like,
it's expensive.
Local food is expensive.
Yes.
It's like frou-frou-y. It's like, you know, it's pretentious. And I feel like as just an individual and as the market manager of, you know, this market in Woodlawn, like that is such a big part of my life, is trying to like debunk the idea that like there is this pretension and this inaccessibility that goes along with eating good, healthy, local food. And like at the market, you know, we accept link cards. We do a link match where people can get literally like free money for fruits and vegetables. That, you know, if you spend $25 on your link card, we give you $25 more to spend on fruits and vegetables. And it is like vital to making that food accessible. From the like talking that we've done with the community who have given us feedback about the link match program, it's been like, this program is what has me eating vegetables right now. Like it is, I mean, it's not like, oh, we think this might be, like people just straight up are like, this is what makes my life healthy and awesome right now, is like, you know, being able to have access to this. Helping people know how to grow their own food is also just enormous. And like, it is incredible what people are capable of and how much food people are capable of growing on their own, even in Chicago, on like a tiny space or like a little balcony or a you know, window ledge.
If
like,
they only knew how, right?
You know, and so it's awesome to me that so many like members of the community are so engaged and like stoked to teach each other and to like be a part of that education and teach me things. I learn new stuff all the time from market customers and just community members. I feel like it can be so simple and it can be so accessible if we just are like willing to reframe the narrative. And I'm hoping that the farmers market is reframing the narrative for people, but that's why I go to work.
That's so beautiful. That's 100% what I experienced there. And, all of this can feel so overwhelming. It can really feel overwhelming in a big city like Chicago. And I most days want to hide in bed when I think like this is like, I cannot handle that friends of mine don't have food. Like I can't handle this. And I think like each of us does our part, right? Mm-hmm. Like no one can solve all of Chicago, but like each of us does the good work that's in front of us. And your market is the good work, obviously, in front of you. And you're going to reframe the narrative and transform the community and everyone who comes in contact with you because you're doing the good work in front of you. And that's all we can, that's what it will take. Each of us has to do what's in front of us. Not everything, but what's in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wendy, come on.
I mean, I feel honestly like I don't even feel like I am doing the work. I feel like I am like, here's a tent. I will go carry it for you and set it up. And now y'all just made this happen. Like it really is the group of people, just as far as like the neighbors, the vendors, the volunteers, everybody that comes out to the market every week. It's magic. I mean, it's just
it really
like
is. If we've not said it enough, I'm just going to say it right here. Like, if you are in Chicago, you must visit the 61st Street Farmers Market. If you live in the suburbs, like on the next, what are the hours on Saturdays?
9 to 2.
9 to 2. If you live in the suburbs, like the next sunny, beautiful summer Chicago day, like make a day of it and come to the market and experience all the magic and then spend the day in the city. But like, you must go. I'm not, you guys, come on. Like, you know me, I'm not hyping this for nothing. Like, it really is something special.
Also,
and so you got to feel it.
You should come out on the sunny days, but what's even better is to get on your galoshes and you take out your umbrellas and come on the really rainy days, because
I'm not here for that one.
That is when your farmers are needing you most to show up and support them, because ain't no one else coming out. And that asparagus is soggy and the bread is changing texture, and they need you to quickly purchase their rainy goods.
I'm going to think long and hard about that.
I will be there. We are there, rain or shine.
And the baby, that cute baby is going to be there. So if that baby's there, you can be there.
You can be there.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
What is your favorite restaurant in all of Chicago?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I said my favorite weird coconut curry awesome dish came from Sticky Rice. So for sure, shout out to Sticky Rice. I really like eating breakfast burritos at Flying Saucer in Humboldt Park. I really like the spicy garlic mushy eggplant at Lao Szechuan in Chinatown.
Oh, yeah.
I really love most anything from Handlebar. But I really have a hard time naming a favorite restaurant. All of those, because
after naming three,
I named quite a few. But I don't know that I'd ever call any of those like my favorite restaurant. I just like, there are things that I like to eat.
Yeah.
But I think also such a part of it for me is like, I cook so much and I love cooking.
Yeah.
And I love cooking alone. I love cooking with my family. I love cooking with my friends. So like, if people are like, oh, I'm coming into town, I'm in Chicago, what should we do? Yeah. Where should we eat? Yeah. I'm like, my kitchen.
I love it.
So it just feels like, if anything, I feel like I should get a shout out to like Cermak on the corner, my grocery store, for really helping me and my friends get through a lot of dark times. I love it. Yeah.
So come to Chicago, stop at the market, and then go to the best restaurant in the city.
My house.
I love it. This has been so much fun.
Totally.
It was all that I imagined. So thank you so much for all your time. Thanks for being at the table for lunch today.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Please keep on going in all the good work you're doing. And let's finish this. Like, what would you like to say to all of us about eating good food, finding good food, sharing good food? Give us your final wisdom.
Oh my goodness. Final wisdom. Eat your greens. Yeah. I
love it.
Keep sharing your food with your friends.
Share your greens. Eat your greens and share your greens.
Share your greens.
Thank you so much, Wendy. This has been great.
Thank you.